It's Chantel here from Fiberific. I've been on a little journey of some fun and interesting knit stitches where I really want stitches that are pretty on both sides. So they're either a double-sided fabric or they are a just interesting on both sides rather than very obviously the back and very obviously the front. In this video, I'm going to show you how I do the Indian cross stitch. Now, I by no means invented this stitch. I know I say this a lot. It's been around for a good long time. There's a few other videos out there. And I just think it's a really fun and interesting stitch that can be used lots of different ways. I've used it in this cowl just here. Enough of the talking. Let's get down to the hands. Okay, so we've got our 5mm knitting needles and some 8-ply yarn, and we are going to get started on this Indian cross stitch. So first things first, we need to cast on in multiples of 8 stitches. So we just need a little slip knot. Now I find that for this particular stitch a fairly rigid cast on is useful. I mean, at the end of the day it's going to depend on what you're using this for. So I'm just going to go with a really basic, what I consider an E-loop cast on. It's probably not the easiest one to knit into, but it does the job on this particular stitch as it's quite firm. It's got a little bit of give but not too much. Okay, so we're looking for 24 stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25. So we only need 24. Okay. Our first row of the pattern repeat, it's a 12-row pattern repeat with an 8-stitch repeat amongst that. It's just a plain knit row. So I've made that stitch very tight for myself. Made it quite difficult. Hang on a second. There we go. So and knitting through the camera is not the easiest thing to do. So please bear with me while I struggle to see. My knitting needles tap on the table because I do normally hold them up a bit higher than this, I've realised. Things that you don't work out till you try to do it in front of a camera, hey? Okay, so we just knit all the way across. And we're 23 and 24. Okay, so knit row 1. Knit the first row. Now we're setting up for row 2, making sure we don't knit into a tail, and we knit all of row 2. Now we actually knit row 1, row 2, row 3 and row 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip ahead. So once you've got 4 rows of 24 stitches knitted up, you can press play again. We are on to row 5. So what we're going to do is we need to knit our first stitch, just like normal. Then what we're going to do is insert for the rest of the row except for the last stitch, we insert the hook like we're going to knit and then wrap 4 times. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, then bring it over like we just knitted. Okay, so we'll do that again. Insert the needle, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and bring that off. We do this all the way across. So 2, 3, 4. You do end up in a little bit of a swing, a bit of a rhythm. And you just got to remember that you really do need 4 because you want them all to be the same length when you undo them in the next row. Okay, so we need 4 for each stitch. Sorry, it's a bit of a mess at the back there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice that it's got quite wide area. Oops, there we go. Get that back into the area where it can actually see what we're doing. So it's looking really quite pretty with the yarn like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Find if I lose count, it's just easy to drop it off and start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4, and then we just knit the last one like normal. So this is our row 4. Sorry, not row 4. What am I saying? It's our row 5. So row 6 is our next interesting row. And what we need to do is that we need to, and from the purl side, I keep the yarn at the back and bring the needle through from the purl side and drag that. And I pull that out a little bit to give it a bit of extra length so that it's a bit similar to the next stitch. See how long that is? And I'll just bring this down because it's quite large. So we pull that up. So we want 8 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I tend to just give them a gentle tug just to make sure they're as even as possible and in the right order. Okay, then what we need to do is we count the first 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert our needle into those 4 stitches from the front, and then we actually have to bring the others through the middle like this to create the crossover. So it's really important that they are in their correct order. It keeps them nice and tidy. Okay, so then you slide these 4 over here, and then we knit those 8 stitches, trying to keep them in their correct order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and it looks like this. Then what we need to do, it looks like this. Then what we need to do is do it to the next 8 stitches. So push everything up a bit so you've got a bit of room. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, make sure that's all off. Give it a little tug, making sure that everything's where it needs to be. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get those 4 stitches, pull them onto the left hand needle, and keeping these ones neat as well. So I tend to just give it a little, sort of, see how I give it a little stretch there just to make sure everything's where it should be. Then knit those 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I've just realised you probably spotted this little mark here. That was me versus the oven pan, obviously the oven pan won. Okay, so then we do it to the last 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we pick off this last stitch again. Now if you just drop your needle and just pull it a little, it tends to take just a little bit from the stitch before it, so it becomes a very similar length to the others. So we pick our needle back up, select those 4, pull them over, give it a little pull to make sure everything's all neat, and then knit those 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, then what we do is we turn and we knit the next 4 rows. Just like we did for the first 4 rows, we're setting up for the second part of the repeat. So just knit all the way across, making sure you've got your 24 stitches. And again, I'm going to fast forward through it. So now we're doing row 11, and row 11 is the same as row 5. This is where we make all our yarn overs. So we knit the first stitch and then insert like we're going to knit, and then wrap around 4 times. And we do this all the way across again, nearly at the end. 3, 4, and then we just knit the last stitch. And that's the end of row 11. Okay, so row 12 is very, very similar to row 6, but we're creating the offset. So we're going to be putting the big spaces sort of more here, like in line here, so they become offset from each other. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of doing the first 8 stitches, we're going to do the first 4 stitches. So exactly the same, yarn at the back, bring it through purlwise, 1, pull a bit extra out, 2, 3 and 4. Same deal as before, give it a gentle tug, grab the first, so we've got the 4, grab the first 2 stitches, bring them over the top and grab those 2, give everything a nice pull, make sure it's all nice and neat, and slide them over there, and then knit off those. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so it creates a little tiny one on the edge there, a little tiny cross, and then we're going to do 8 for the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then without, just make sure everything's all nice and lined up. 1, 2, 3, 4, grab those and pull them through. Give everything a bit of a pull to make sure it's nice and neat. Then knit those 8 off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, sorry, I've moved that out of the way of the camera. So that's our next 8. Now we're going to move on to the next bunch. So pick off 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And do the same again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab the first 4. Slide them over the other 4. Bring them out. Give everything a little tug to make sure it's all neat. Pop them on there and then knit them off. So we've got 1, 2, drop my stitches, just pop them back over here. 2, just make sure you're keeping them in the right order. They get, because it's so loose, you really do have to watch what you're doing. 3 and 4. These ones are a bit easier. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Give a little gentle tug, and that's how those 8 look. And then we've just got our last 4 at the end. So 1, 2, 3, and then that last stitch, which we kind of just try and tug out a little so that's similar length. Bring that in, bring them over, and drop those on, and then knit those 4, keeping them in order. 1, 2, 3, hang on, 3 and 4. Okay, so that was the 12 row stitch repeat or row repeat for this pattern. You can just keep going with these 12 rows over and over again until you've got enough for a scarf, or until if you want to join the ends together like I have and made a really pretty cowl. I've seen some gorgeous patterns floating around lately that have just the cross stitch section with 1 row of knit on each side embedded into like a lace shawl and things like, or a shawl and things like that, just to create some really pretty drama in your projects. Interesting news time. Each week for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to choose one lucky YouTube commenter to receive a prize of 100 grams of hand-dyed yarn. This is yarn dyed by me. It could be sock yarn, lace weight, anything really, but it'll be 100 grams. If you want to be in a chance to win the 100 grams for this week, make sure you comment in down below in the YouTube comments area, and I will randomly choose someone and announce them as the winner in next week's video. And I'll do that over the next 4 weeks. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing. It's time for you now to go and fill your universe with fibre fun. Off you go. I'll see you next time.